What's going on, guys, and welcome back. How did set championships go for all of you? We took repeat 2-1 on Saturday, and unfortunately, we ran into a blue steel wall, and lo and behold, that's not a great matchup. I felt pretty comfortable actually into Steel Song, Green Steel, and even into Popsicle, and those being like kind of the top three decks. Ruby Amethyst I felt was a little unfavored, and Blue Steel's just not a good matchup. Unfortunately, we were doing good until we ran into Blue Steel backed by Ruby Amethyst right afterwards, and it didn't go great for us. But the deck was doing really, really well. Like I said, I really can't complain. I don't know that I would really change anything with the deck. I think it was just a little bit of unluck, and sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes the cards don't fall, your draws don't hit, your mulligans miss. Sometimes your opponent has the answer. Sometimes you play perfectly, and I'm not saying that I did, but sometimes you can play almost perfectly, but you can only play with the cards that you draw, and at the end of the day, you just have to accept that. And I'm taking that tournament as proof of that, like that. Don't overreact to a small sample size. Like sometimes a small sample size is just that. It's a small sample size. One of the other local players who pretty much takes like top four at everything also did not make top four this time around. So you never really know what you're going to run into. Like I said, we just absolutely steamrolled Steel Song, felt super comfortable into that matchup. And then a Green Steel matchup where I was actually feeling okay. Game one, we lost a really close game one. In game two, I was in so much control, and he actually had teched in the 7-cost Clarabelle for the mirror matchup. And lo and behold, I had board presence, control 5 cards in hand. He top decked it, drew 5 cards, and changed the entire flow of the game. Did not expect it, didn't see it coming, didn't play for it whatsoever. I could have been much less greedy on my hand and just spammed the board much. I could have played it completely different, but didn't expect to see a Clarabelle in discard because their whole gimmick is you don't get a hand. So it's actually really fun to see, pretty cool to see. And so that match didn't go our way. And then, like I said, Blue Steel was just not a great matchup. However, it came down so close. It was Goat, Snake, Bounce Goat, Play Fox, Bounce Goat, and we got to 19, and he lucky dimed us off the top for a game. So it happens, but into a bad matchup. We were really close. I was at 19 games 1 and 2 into the Blue Steel matchup. So again, right there, just playing as good as we possibly could. Just sometimes the cards don't fall the way you need it to. I think Repeat's still in a really good spot. I think it's a really strong tier 2 deck right now. I think it's a very fun deck. I think it's a deck when piloted well and into a variety of decks. It's actually one of the decks that can compete just really well into a lot of things because the toolbox is so good, the consistency is so good. It has a lot of really fun interactions that you can have. I did take Ruby Amethyst then Sunday instead. I went back to it. Made a few changes and tried it out. I really like Ruby Amethyst this format. I think it's really strong. But we're here to finish talking about Repeat, and let's do that. So in our 1-drop spot, we play 8 cards, 12 uninkables, by the way. So in 1-drop spot, we got Chernabog and Robin Hood. The Robin Hood shift line is just so strong here for a couple reasons. One, it's Robin Hood. And 2, it enables you to play things like grab your swords on turn 3 if you run into like an aggro matchup, or versus like Popsicle, you can hit like Robin Hood 1, Smee 2, Shift Hood 3 to really just put out a very aggressive start and force them to have answers early. One of the best ways they're going to be able to do that would be like an Ice Block plus Brawl, because by the time, I mean, I guess even with Ramp, they can get to like those Madame Medusas a little bit quicker. But if you can really apply that pressure, get to double-digit lures before their deck truly gets rolling, and now they need to really focus on your board and less on their ramp, you can really just put them in an awkward spot. So I really like the Robin Hood for that line, like I said, versus the Popsicle matchup. Chernabog Followers is in there because, well, card draw is really important. Versus discard, you're going to want the card draw. You're going to want to be able to have cards that replace themselves and just be effective that way. The Mim package, obviously, we're going to be playing 4 Snake, 4 Fox. The whole gimmick of the deck is playing Pete. You bounce Pete, you repeat, you play Pete, do all the fun Pete stuff. Smee, one of the best 2-drops in the game. Questing for 2 as a 3/3 body. The damage doesn't matter as much either because how you can bounce your Pete, you can bounce your Smee, especially when your Smee has 2 damage. You quest for the 3rd turn, and then you can play like a fox, bounce it, rush into something, and then all of a sudden your Smee has no damage. It's back in your hand. You can ink it, or you can play it again. So just the snake and the Smee on turn 2. Really liked where we were at. Chernobog, a lot of the time, all weekend, even in Ruby Amethyst, you don't have to play it on one quest, draw a card right away. Sometimes read your opponent's board state. Like, sometimes you can quest for it 2, maybe 3's starting to get to that gray area, because then you run into more removal cards, like Let the Storm Rage On, like Brawl, things like that, where you just don't want to lose the free card. But, like, a lot of the time you quest on 1, and sometimes you hold it and you quest on 2, and that's when you draw the card then, is after you get that second quest out of it. Even if they have like a 1-drop, sometimes them losing that 1-drop like affects their shift line versus Steel Song, like whether it's Queen, Robin Hood. They don't truly want to lose that Cinderella if they don't have the song to sing. So you can get into some niche scenarios, although I will say too, versus Steel Song sometimes, especially if I'm on the play or on the draw, not on the play, sometimes I won't even play that 1-drop. I'll just kind of play it out a little bit slower, wait till I can get some more threats on board, and then just start spamming the cards out if you can. This deck doesn't do it as well as, say, Ruby Amethyst does, because you have bigger late game stuff to get to. But you don't necessarily have to drop that Chernobog or the Hood on 1. Especially if you're going for the Hood shift line, like you maybe wait for 2, get the Smee down, and then on 3, then you start to play it a little differently. Kind of gauge Steel Song that way. Like if you're on the draw, it can kind of make your 1-drop spot a little funky at times. We are heavy at 19 3-cost cards. For our characters, we play 9 of them. So the 4 Madam Mim Foxes should be pretty self-explanatory. Madam Mim Fox is one of the best 3-drops in the game, and that's why this deck is so good, because you have a crazy 2-drop, crazy 3-drop, another crazy 3-drop, because Pete is also one of the best in the game. And why 3? Why not 4? So 3 Petes because, well, everyone likes a 3-Pete, right? You know, basketball players might understand. Anyway, so Pete, the game referee. I felt 4 isn't necessarily needed here because we have a lot of consistency and draw through the Amethyst engine of the deck, and even with like Storm, there's a lot of ways to draw and get to cards, right? So I felt like 3 Pete was enough. It's not like other decks where you have less card draw and it's harder to get to it. In addition to that, we also have the bounce package, which means you play it, you can get that same Pete back to your hand, whereas Steel Song, Green Steel, once they play it, it's kind of there. It's out there. They're not getting it back. But you can play it and bounce it back, and you can reuse 1 Pete more than 1 time. So I felt like 3 Petes was plenty for that reason. Crabs, kind of nice, but I don't know. It actually felt almost unneeded in the deck. It's really nice for like big Cinderella, especially like Fox Crab, take out clean a big Cinderella. Taking out like Queen's Castle is really nice. So I do like Crab. It just felt kind of underwhelming because it's so situational, but at least it's inkable, so you can just ink it then. Magicka Dispel, this was a tech because last weekend when we got our prize card, ironically, we didn't respect Green Steel enough, and this card, every time I saw it versus Green Steel, it's just free. Like, so much of their deck is just not even useful anymore. It's hard for them to play the game because their deck is so focused around that discard and drawing off when you discard. Works really well. Having the 5 willpower too means pretty much Zeus is what takes it out. Even like a Ursula double singing Storm will not take it out. They'd have to have 3 characters on board and double sing a Strength of the Raging Fire to take it out in 1 hit, which isn't unheard of for them. So I'm not trying to say they can't out it. But she's really good and really strong in that regard. Maybe we play a Blurple list with her and Aurora. Get her some ward. Just saying, no discard, no ward. You're not coming after. Could be fun. Could be fun. So 4-drop cards. Let's continue into our 4-drop cards. 3 Goats. I really think 3 Goats the way. I think that between the consistency of the deck, you ink it early. Goat's one of those cards that it's really nice to close out a game and to see it later. It's so weird because Goat's such a strong card. Like, it's guaranteed 2 lore, it's a 4 attack character, it's 3 defense. But when you need a spot, if you need a spot, please, if you're at 4 Goats and you need a spot, play 3 Goats. You won't hardly notice the difference, trust me. 3 Goats is very, very okay. 4 Rabbit. This card, however, unlike Goat, you want it at 4. You want to see it, you want to see it, you want to see it. Card draw is very good. I've actually heard something kind of crazy today. Was a Steel Song player who said that he doesn't quite understand Rapunzel and why she's so good, because she's just a one-attack character. And I don't know, something about healing my Smee, my Robin Hood, my other characters, and drawing 2 or 3 cards feels pretty good to me, and 5 willpower. But anyway, same player also ended up using a strength on his own Ursula Singer to deal 3 damage to it to play a Rapunzel and draw 3 cards. So I don't know if he just wasn't really thinking when he said it the first time, because he used it very, very effectively when we played in the tournament. And unfortunately, when a Whole New World 3 games in a row hits multiple Be Prepareds, it's a difficult spot to be in. But we went toe-to-toe right down to the end, and it couldn't have asked for a better day. My son was with. We'll have an updated list that he played as well. It was Lemon Lime Aggro, so keep an eye out for that video. But yeah, he actually won his first match playing. He's 7. He's super happy. I'm excited for him. We even actually don't even know where it was. In our win-a-pack from round 1, we may not have gotten the Mirabelle today, but we did get a Simba today. They had first chapter. I'm like, okay, easy. First chapter. I'm like, I want a Rapunzel, 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 trying to finish off Steel Song. And I'm like, it's not a Rapunzel, but I'm going to take it. Anyway, so then we get to Elsa. She is here because she's, well, a rush. She gets the Exerta character. She takes out Diablo in crazy well because she's also evasive, the 5 willpower. She's just really, really strong overall. I like her a lot. I would maybe bump her up to 4 and take out the Tinkerbells altogether if I was going to do any changes with the deck. It was just hard to get to that 6 ink sometimes, and it felt like, I don't know, I didn't want to, I don't know. Tinkerbell, she's good, and in theory is good. Just didn't really, I think she's not as good this format as I initially thought she was. Then we got Robin Hood at 4. Again, playing Little Robin Hood. Big Robin Hood's going to be followed at 4. Tinkerbell, like I said, she's good. I feel like she's kind of overrated this format. And I'd maybe, if I was going to make any changes to the deck, offhand, pull out the 2 Tinkerbells and maybe put 2 Elsas in instead. I'd have to think about it a little bit more. But just right off the top, that might be a change that we decide to do. 2 Smash. This card was crazy. I know it's not a song. It thinks that you can't sing it. But it takes out Diablo at the Cove. Takes out an Ursula, it takes out an Ariel, it takes out Queen. It does so much. Like, Smash right now is just really, really strong. I like it as a 2. If you're playing Baboom, don't. Baboom is not good at all right now. Get rid of those Babooms. If you're going to do that, play Fire the Cannon. It costs less. I don't care that it's uninkable. It costs less. Play Fire the Cannon over Baboom, but Smash is the true answer that you should be playing. Then we've got there's 12 songs. Drawing 2 is a staple. It always will be. Dealing 2 damage and drawing 1 is pretty much a staple as well. So 4 and 4 there. Between locations, between big characters, along came Zeus at 2. And then we did still want to respect aggro. So we have 2 Grab Your Swords. Queen's Castle was glued to my hand. Like, glued to my hand in this event, and it really helped out a lot. Versus Blue Steel, it kept me in it. Versus Green Steel, that game 2, it almost single-handedly won it until, again, the entire match changed. Steel Song, too, this card just put in so much work. Versus Ruby Amethyst, I didn't see it, and lo and behold, it didn't go in our favor very well, that matchup. But Queen's Castle, so much better than Library. Like, Library is not a bad card. Library is niche, and it has great scenarios to use. Sorry. Great scenarios to use it in. But overall, Queen's Castle, so much better. Closes out games. You get the draw. You get the multiple lore. And it just really forces your opponent to have an answer quicker. So, again, versus Green Steel, some cards that you have to really help and focus on. Grab Your Swords also there for Green Steel, because hitting something like Prince John and characters with Ward. Keep in mind the Cove does give them that extra defense, so that kind of stinks. But you can take out the Cove and Grab Your Swords to deal the damage, or Grab Your Swords first, put the damage on them, take out the Cove. Once Cove is gone, that plus is gone, and they will then disappear. Storm Rage on, they will get the draw if their Diablo is exerted, but it's still a way to out the Diablo. Smash, another card for that Green Steel matchup. Elsa helps in your Green Steel. Pete obviously is going to help in any Steel matchup, but Magica right here, she's really the bread and butter card you want to get into Green Steel. If we're going into Popsicle, again, if you can hit like Hood, Smee, Shift Hood, play line, and then just from there try to keep your resources up, get ready because they're going to be coming with big hitters. And then if you can even turn 4 Queen's Castle, you're sitting in a really good spot. So like Hood, Smee, Queen's Castle into the Popsicle. Otherwise, try not to get into that like super simplified state, right? Like once they be prepared you, they see Sue board wipe you, they do stuff like that, and if you just come back with one character at a time, you lost every time you lost because they have their Lady Tremaines, their Medusas, the Brawls. They're just going to pick you off one card at a time. So what you need to do is try to just set yourself up well, have enough ink. Don't just stop at 5 ink. Don't just stop at 6 ink. I see players do that where my highest cost card's 5, so once I get to 5 ink, I stop. But then you get into simplified spots. Actually, today I had a Ruby Steel player. Really fun deck, neat deck. Talked to him, great guy. It was actually pretty cool to just interact and see the deck. But he got to 5 ink in both games and then just kind of stopped inking. And once I dropped a Be Prepared, I think I was down 14-2. I dropped a Be Prepared, but then it's just Robin Hood, Lady Tremaine. Then it's like this card, Lady Tremaine, and then this card, Medusa, and it's just picked it apart that way. And meanwhile I was at like 8 because then all of a sudden it's like Medusa, Snake, bounce Medusa, replay Medusa next turn. Like being able to play multiple cards is really good. I'm not saying you have to just keep inking every single turn, but usually like if my cost curve stops at 5 or 6, I will try to get to like +2 on that. Like try to get to 7 or 8 before you truly pull off the pedal on your inking, unless you just don't have the resources whatsoever. This is stuff I will all go over in my huge, in-depth, super awesome, amazing how to deck build video that will be coming up as a course. More information on that to follow. But what other ones? Steel Song. So Steel Song, something you can try to focus on too, is your characters with more than 2 willpower, because obviously it just forces more interaction from them, more cards from them. Your Madam M. Fox and your Rush cards are going to be good. Your Pete's are going to be insane, especially if you can just tell that whole new world's coming. And if you can use your characters and challenge into them more and force them to hard play their songs, like keeping their singers off the board or killing their singers is really a huge way to gain that advantage over Steel Song. Force them to hard play their songs, because then they use up their ink and then you get it back with a full hand, and it helps us so immensely. Magic of Dispel, I guess it helps with the whole new world. You get to keep your hand, but outside of that, she's pretty much ink, so don't really count on her in that matchup. Smash, again, Ariel, Queen, Naveen, Smee. This card can put in a lot of work in that matchup as well. And then your Queen's Castle too, like especially if they're not playing Queen, Queen's Castle can put in a lot of work versus Steel Song, because they don't have a lot of high cost characters or high strength characters outside of like Cinderella and Queen giving boost. They do have Zeus though to deal the 5, so keep an eye out on that. But other than that, like that's kind of how roughly those top 3 matchups go. Like I said, Blue Steel can get kind of hard to do. Ruby Amethyst has plays, but maybe we'll do a big, long, in-depth breakdown on this deck as a whole as well coming up. So anyway, this is the deck that we took on Saturday and had a lot of fun. I think, like I said, outside of changing Tinkerbell for that Elsa, I wouldn't really change a whole lot, and it's hard to take a small sample size and say, oh, the deck's not that good, but I think the deck is really that good. It's just sometimes the cards don't fall, sometimes you hit bad matchups, and you just got to accept that it's not your day. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for commenting. Thank you for all of the support. This channel is seriously, like I say it so often because I mean it, like this has been such a ride. Like this was never supposed to be what it is. So thank you guys for all that, and we will continue to try to provide high level quality content for you guys, and maybe one day I'll get out of the bedroom once again, have better lighting and things like that. But what are you gonna do? Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below.